Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Wednesday, August 9, 2023, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll have a time for change call tonight around 9 p.m. Eastern. In every moment, we have a golden opportunity to choose trust. Now, in this life, we experience a lot of things that, since we're operating mostly in the ego mind, that we open ourselves up and we trust in many different situations. And then when that trust is breached, we get, after a while, after it happens so many times, we get kind of really guarded. And so we don't trust ourselves, right? And every single time we have a golden opportunity to choose trust over fear, we fear the fact that we are going to be tricked or manipulated or misdirected or lied to, or however you want to interpret it. And when we're connected, all of us, as we know, on a spiritual level. All of the gods in these bodies are one. You're connected. And we have the many opportunities to discover that of which we are and not the body. But we have a tendency to gravitate to the body, and then we think that we are the body. Even though you might be saying that, oh no, I'm not the body, I'm the God within the body. Because on how it operates, the ego mind can trick us and be making that statement. And we have this super vice grip on life. And we can learn how to let go of this vice grip that we have on life. We immediately make a more intimate space for a closer relationship with the divine healing intelligence that abides behind everything. All of our overly fearful, doubtful, and protective feelings instantly fade away when we are trusting that a divine intelligence is always present in our lives. A softness blossoms inside, and we regain our natural ability to relax fully into our body and can start enjoying every detail about our present, past, and future. With deep trust, we can evolve as spiritual beings. And without it, we're lost. We can ascend to the point where we are trusting that every experience that life brings us is absolutely divine and perfect. Even if an experience may be painful, the greater, deeply eternal loving is known and felt hidden inside. A trusting heart can quietly realize how fear is our greatest teacher, always invoking a higher state of spiritual awareness into our future, so that we stop pretending to be these small, so we stop pretending to be these small, powerless, ego-driven beings and start living that truly amazing life we so love. Now, it's a choice. Most of the things, just like everything in this life, are a choice. So you could say, well, I choose trust over fear. it really comes down to worshiping our spiritual nature over our ego. Most of us are ego. Not that we know it, not that we intentionally drive it, but most of us are ego, not God within us. It's all about a deep devotion to our real selves and being truly dedicated to filling up our precious time on this earth with more relaxation, appreciation, and joy instead of ego-driven anxieties, demands, and tension. With trust as our deepest guide, we can pierce through the ego's veil of ignorance and perceive those life-challenging people and situations with the utmost patience and appreciation. Having no resistance to fear, we flow with the great spirit of life and know everything works itself out karmically in the very end. The level of trust instills such a fresh, enlightening perspective about life, which instantly liberates the mind from all negative thinking, with trust in charge. When we hit an emotional wall of resistance or fear, we open up to it instead of shut down even further. We feel into the wall, knowing there is always a bigger spiritual lesson behind it to be learned, and looking forward to finding out what it is. This approach is what allows for a deeper state of peace to make its home inside our heart and soul. Trust is such a powerful force that we can turn the most ordinary life instantly into an extremely rich spiritual adventure. With trust, we feel safe and connected with everyone we meet, and naturally are overflowing with an effervescent joy in all directions. We tend to respond to others with compassion instead of criticism, curiosity instead of patience, and understanding instead of judgment. Every moment of this life becomes a new doorway that opens up to the highest and deepest aspects of our being. When we become aware how trust is a choice, we discover our power of either expand or contract our experience of this life in each moment. This power enables us to become the spiritual masters of our destiny. We no longer fear life, yet embrace it all. As we gain more trusting momentum, we are able to remain only in the trust vibration for longer periods of time. We understand how to skyrocket our consciousness in a matter of minutes, and eventually catapult our lives into the fifth dimensional realm of the divine. Trust is the magical gateway to our true unlimited nature, as it transcends the ego and opens the door of our most intelligent, our most enlightened state of consciousness. The self is like the screen, and the world is like the picture on it. You can see the picture only so long as there is a screen. But when the seer himself becomes the screen, only the self remains. Now, different levels. We have, these just depends on every one of us, how we've been raised, influenced, programmed. So our perspectives are varying, to say the least. But if fear has been dominating your life, retreat. You can let go. Let it go, forgive yourself, free the others, and release whatever has happened in your past. You can move on. I won't move on. They won't move on. They won't step outside that door. They do move on. It is not worth it to hang on to any low vibration for another day. Trust that all of the trauma that you received in life was given by God to wake you up from this deep, sleepy dream. We are all asleep. And everyone has been caught in some dramatic, perpetually self-wondering victim spin cycle, taught to never trust in life, ourselves, or anyone else again. Just let it go and remember you are still lovable, worthy, and totally amazing, exactly as you are. You just decided to commit for a massive class in spiritual growth and radical enlightened maturity. Whatever our past life circumstances might have been, we were always given the choice how we wish to respond to them now. Every time we choose trust over fear, everyone's heart opens a bit wider. We feel a more gentle, healing heart, warming energy coming in. This warm, trusting heart is needed in this life, for the divine, intelligent universe is always testing our level of awareness, checking to see how awake we truly are. The test is always the same. How will we choose to respond? With more trust or more fear? I might throw it the bag of super sour lemon just to see if we know how to add some playful, creative sweetness and make a pitcher of lemonade. To not value the gift of a human incarnation is like trading a diamond for a head of cabbage. Vedic sage. It's good to know that the opposite of fear is not love. It is trust. Yet through living a life of trust, we naturally start falling in love with everything and everyone. With 100% trust, we become a loveaholic of life, feeling naturally orgasmic about this precious opportunity we have to live. Feeling completely turned on by this chance to find our spirit, the expansive feeling in the heart, finally open, and every breath feels as though we are making love with the divine. Now, it's a choice. The choice is up to us. Are we ready to sign up for choosing a life devoted to always responding with trust yet? The spiritual power we receive from the trust vibration is simply awesome. Total trust effortlessly engulfs all kinds of egoic negativity that may try to dominate any room. When a person who has 100% unshakable trust enters any community, it's so penetrating and contagious that everyone's ego eventually falls into another embarrassment or humility. When this group of people all simultaneously begin choosing trust over fear, you can feel this giddy, enlightening joy exponentially expanding through everyone's lives. Group energy becomes more relaxed and at ease with their life, their future, and everything as it is. To live a life flowing with trust. It's important to understand that fear is not a bad thing. It's just not something you care to be behind making any of your decisions. You don't care to have fear behind making your decisions. If you make fear-based decisions in life, this life, you will only create fear-based outcomes. If you try to avoid fear or attempt to delete it completely from your life, it will sneak back in when your guard is down. Fearful thoughts are there to wake us up. to invite in our biggest self, as they are simply small, contracted truths about reality. It's like tiny grains of sand that can be so meaningless and inconsequential unless one of them gets stuck in your eye. It is amazing how something so small can create such huge pain. In walking the path of fear, we are living from our egos. You can guarantee that. In walking the path of fear, we are living from our ego. Because the ego is always feeling either superior or inferior. We become very controlling and judgmental. Living in ego, we become narrow-minded and completely unaware that we are abiding in a very small, limiting truth. We know we are living from ego because we feel constantly unsatisfied, perpetually searching for the next fantastic thing or new pleasure to escape into. The ego does not know what inner peace is. It is untrusting of new things, sticking only to what is comfortable, and often feels caught in needing to protect itself from our emotions and feelings. The ego is always has new ways to hide or shine. It always has new ways to hide or shine. Because it does not trust our inner light. It does not trust our inner light will always be there to guide us through the darkness. It doesn't know that. It doesn't believe it. How do you know when the ego begins to evaporate? How can you tell? When there is no desire to dominate, no desire to cling, no desire to possess, the ego starts evaporating. In order to always choose trust over fear, we really need to take a more sensitive approach to feeling into ourselves so we can see when we are in a state of trust, of fear, in a state of trust or fear. You can check in any moment of your day what is going on in the area around your heart and chest. If it feels expansive and light, you're in a state of trust. And if it's light or tight and heavy, you're holding on to fear. The general feeling you carry in your chest is your trust barometer. See what types of choices you're making every day. And you got to be careful with the ego, because the ego can trick you into believing that you're actually operating and residing in the heart mind. Now, maybe you've done this. Maybe you haven't. The general feeling that we carry in our chest is our trust barometer to see what types of choices we're making every day. When we are living each day of our lives in fear, we tend to want to control everything and force our way through this life. We tend to live in this hurried-up mode, rushing through each sacred experience, missing out on the small, precious moments where it could have felt as heavenly angels were present. When trust does not become a natural response to this life, we become afraid to make decisions. We stop taking risks. We feel stuck in some weird emotional prison. And perpetually unhappy for no reason at all. When fear is more important than trust, we feel like a failure in this life. Instead of simply removing the small speck of sand from our own eye, we spend our time trying to change ourselves, others, in the outer world. Once we discover how to trust in the experience of trust, a bigger truth takes over our lives, and the walls of our fearful, boxed-in life slowly fall away. Now, if and when you need to liberate yourself from a fearful state, you must welcome all your fears with 100% trust, and remember everything is perfect exactly as it is. This goes against all of our programming. It goes against everything that we've been programmed with. You may seem out of sorts with this, with committing to this, devoting to this. It may feel very unfamiliar, very not too comfortable. This universe never makes mistakes. We simply have to accept every pile of manure as a message that we need more fertilizer. If your life or mind becomes too overwhelming or challenging, simply refocus your awareness back on the biggest feeling of trust that you can remember. Dwell only on that trusting feeling for 1 to 2 hours, and give yourself permission to stop dwelling on what you fear. In a very short time, you can find the spiritual light starts seeping back into your very soul again. And since the mind is a illusion, and the mind creates the ego to assist it in the illusion. So the ego mind is an illusion, but it's real. It seems real, doesn't it? It seems really real. Son of a gun. And this is all about deciding to take the step forward inside you. That's what everything's about. That's how everything shifts. That's how you move forward. And that's how we begin to understand and embrace and trust and have confidence and faith in ourselves as the highest of the highest high of God. Heaven on earth. We know that the Bible was written. We don't know really by who, but in the TFCC call, I will let people know who wrote it. So we don't know. We follow things. Because what? You say, okay, so I'm going to trust this situation. And you're going to trust it 100%. So you're going to say, you'll say, I trust this situation. So I'm going to follow through with this situation. I'm not concerned about, when, why, here, who, how, but I've decided to do that. Now, when someone comes up to you and they have a proposal, they say, they talk with you about whatever it may be. And there's all the factors involved that motivate you to get you excited, whatever it may be. Now, they say, come on, join me with this. And there's 2 avenues. You trust yourself, you have faith and confidence in yourself, 100%. Then it's a no-brainer. Now, the crucial part is, do you trust that person? Right? Have you ever, I'm sure you've been in a situation, you all inside, usually in the chest area that you feel it. I don't really trust this person. I really don't know them. So I'm just not sure about this. Now, the ego mind is working overtime all the time, 24/7. So it could come and say, "Oh, go ahead, take a jump." But see, when you have trust in yourself and you engage with whoever or whatever, and let's say it doesn't work out, but that had trust you have in yourself. And then you say, well, why didn't it work out? You know, where did and then you'll get the answers by going within. Why didn't that work out? Did I do something, indifferent, or did I create that? But you aren't doing that as coming. Just ask yourself these questions. Is that why? I had that second thought that negated it. Is that the reason why? There's an amazing infinite universe all around us. I mean, outer space extends far beyond what we can see with any high-tech cosmic telescope, which can view stars way beyond 13 billion light years away. This incredible universe is also a living, breathing experience that extends infinitely within us. It continues deeper beyond the atomic quantum particles, which are amazing, yet ancient. Microscopes can barely see this level. Using our to we truly are, what we discover is yet another realm of infinity. Inside our mind, there are memories piled upon memories and beliefs within beliefs, all stacked to infinity. For every new thought that is forming right now, there are a dozen new thoughts soon to follow. Just sit down on some lazy afternoon to spiritually investigate who you really are, and you'll find you can ascend and descend forever within the deepest realms of your very soul. However, what you can find most fascinating inside of this infinite mystery is in the relationship that's manifesting between our inner world and the outer universe. It behaves something like a perpetual reflection in a mirror. Whatever is happening within our inner world is attracting, magnetizing, and manifesting what we are experiencing in our outer world. If you don't trust yourself, I believe we know this. If you don't trust yourself, you're not going to trust anybody else. If you don't love yourself, you are not going to love anybody else. If you don't have a tremendous intimate relationship with yourself, you are not going to have a tremendous intimate relationship with anyone else, no matter how hard you try. For instance, I'm in a good mood today. All I see are happy, smiling faces wherever I go, and amazing opportunities seem to effortlessly float my way. But if I fall down into an emotional dumpster, the face of every person has nothing but gloom and doom smeared all over it. And it feels like my entire life is about to collapse. The law of attraction is unavoidable. Whatever we are feeling and feeding into emotionally on the inside is somehow always materializing into whatever we see, experience, and physically attract in our outer world. So whatever you are feeling and feeding into emotionally on the inside is going to manifest in your outer world. Another example of how the infinite reflection is showing up in our lives is how it manifests in our relationship with others. The more love, compassion, and acceptance we have for ourselves, the easier it is to have compassion, love, and acceptance for others. Or it's always that one thing which we absolutely dislike and cannot stand about the other, which is reflecting some part inside ourselves that we don't want to own or accept. If I'm upset at my neighbor for being too dominating, controlling, and aggressive instead of having compassion with him, then when I take a closer look inside myself, I will see how I'm not okay with those parts of myself that feel too dominating, controlling, or aggressive. It's all a deep and yet transparent mirror. Our inner world is an extension of our outer universe, and the outer world is an extension of our inner universe. This means that this life extends into infinity in every direction and dimension. Our inner and outer universes are never separate. Even though your physical body appears to be completely isolated, to be a completely isolated entity, it is not. We live in one sacred ocean of energy. There simply is just one universe that extends for infinity into the other realms in all directions and inner dimensions. You contain the wet and the salty qualities of the entire ocean, and yet are just a single drop in it. The oceanic waves are always moving you and flowing through you. He who thinks he is the doer is also the sufferer, Ramana Maharishi. The essential problem that is found that most people are having with life is that they are not reaching deep enough inside themselves to reconnect with their actual living, breathing, infinite spiritual essence. Our spiritual nature is a real thing. It is our most basic reality. It is what keeps our hearts beating, our breath breathing, and our life force moving through us in every moment of existence. We don't have to breathe. Our body does it for us in most cases. The same is with our spiritual essence. It is living and creating through our physical body, unfolding its essential karmic programming within this great cosmic playground. It's good to know that suffering happens only when the mind gets in the way. When your mind gets in the way, boom, you're going to suffer. There's no arguing it. When we become overly focused on thoughts and material things that make us feel limited or time-bound, we start believing we only have limited options. The realm of the infinite fades into the background of the infinite. We start thinking everyone is living in a very small, contracted world. When we only focus on our needs, we forget how to connect with the soul of others. If we are always thinking about money and more material possessions, we cannot see or feel the infinite reality that is beneath it all. A majority of this rat race is trapped in thinking about time-bound appointments, which cause consciousness to squeeze itself into a tiny temporal box. Let's say 4:30 p.m. With this deadline coming, we just don't have time to feel what eternity is like. When we only live in a limited tick-tock 24-hour clock world that is consumed with resources around money and material items, we instantly start feeling disconnected from the infinite eternal beings we actually are. This addictive dwelling of the mind on what is not infinite or eternal is what makes us feel spiritually disconnected from every living being on this planet today. We were all born with a limited time-bound physical body so that we could acquire a contrasting perspective to the gods that we are and experience ourselves as the infinite eternal being we actually are. We have the capability to create, manifest, and experience anything we desire. We are all the children of a great universal consciousness, God, that is impregnated with unlimited potentiality. If all this talk about the infinite is expanding your mind too much to handle today, just remember that your inner world is always impacting and manifesting something in your outer world. Every thought you believe to be true is what is creating your reality. Every thought that you believe to be true is what is creating your reality. Your thoughts are always flowing through you and are always creating everything in your life. You will become whatever you think in the future. To be aware of your innermost thoughts and yet somehow remain non-attached. Your thoughts are not who you truly are. You are an eternal, infinite consciousness who is beyond form and time. You are pure awareness reflecting back on itself in this physical universe of space and time. Let go of thoughts that were cycling in your mind yesterday and ideas about the way life should turn out for you tomorrow. Be here now. Now is the moment of power. Now is is discovered. For physically, you are forever forced to exist in this present moment. Your present awareness is always being generated. This present moment, know this, and live and breathe within this knowing. If you want your life to be smoother, fuller, more in touch with utter bliss, get in touch with your eternal essence. Let go of any limiting thoughts that you have and drop into the knowingness that you are an infinite soul who will never ever die. If and when you crave for some secure life that is easy and light, give that experience to yourself on the inner world within first. Find out how to soothe yourself emotionally, giving deep, robust, tingling sensations to every corner of your body, mind, and spirit. The great experience of divinity is always available and ready to take you into the higher dimensions. Your greatest life is ready for you here in this now. So open yourself up, welcome it in. You will find the infinite within the finite. Trust the process. Breathe into it. Breathe it into you. And enjoy every breath you are given. Meditation is a listening with a receptive heart. Buddha, and as we know, Buddha means enlightened being. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose. And an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. Whoever you decided you are is still the tiniest fraction of who you really are. You are not defined by the ideas that you have about yourself, nor your desires, nor the shape of your body, and not the positive or negative attitude of your mind. You are beyond all of that. You are indefinable. You are greater than your mind can fathom. You are a spiritual energy which is unbounded and infinite. This is the true you that will never die. For 5 minutes, sometime today, sit with the question, who am I? Explore it with your heart. Be aware of the mind whenever it creates another idea of who you will be or who you were, and instead dive into the very essence of your being. Explore what is the very core of you in this moment. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and the following morning. We will return here tonight at around 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our Time for Change call, and Thursday, August 10, 2023, 3:15 p.m. Eastern to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest, deepest eternal gratitude at all times, no matter what's going on around you or within you.